It is the most noble, most beautiful act a mortal may perform. It is an act of divinity. To sacrifice is to give yourself to something greater. To sacrifice is to transform the world.
What's up, guys? This is DizzyPW with MMOHuts, and we're getting another look at Path of Exile. It's been about a year since we gave these guys some focus, and there's a lot of new content, new additions. There's been tons of leagues if you've been watching James' roommate Colby Cheese compete in them. But for those that haven't been following it, let's get a little bit of a recap on what's going on before we start covering the new content coming out next month. So what's the big deal that have gone on in the past year since the major expansion to Endgame?
So in January of last year, we entered open beta, and then in October, we released the game formally. And so that's 4 months ago, and now we're releasing our first mini expansion called Sacrifice of Vaal. During this time, we've added quite a lot of stuff to the game. The release in October, for example, added the second half of Act 3. We added a new Scion character class. We've added trigger gems, which added a lot of combinations to different character building options. And we've got a ton of new content available in the expansion that we're talking about today.
And now, the thing that you guys really sell me on is the character progression. You do so much. Can you talk a little bit about what you've done with support gems and just how you've evolved the entire progression system to give the players so much more freedom and ability to experiment over the last year?
So first thing we did was we added a bunch of just new skills that obviously increases customization, but the big thing is support gems, as you said. So trigger gems were a big deal. That was basically the ability to have the players customize when their skills go off automatically. So for example, when you do a critical hit, you could automatically cast another skill, or maybe when you take damage, you can automatically cast a buff that prevents you taking more damage, that kind of thing. That's a good example of where we've gone.
And then where you're going, because you're going to have now Vaal gems. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so one of the things the players really wanted was kind of ultimate skills, something which have a long cooldown, that kind of thing, and they can sort of use them tactically. So what we did with that was we decided we wanted to make it so that the Vaal skills, they charge up on the souls of your enemies. So when you kill enemies, you charge up your skills, and then you can unleash them, and they do a huge amount of damage or have some really great tactical effects.
And what have you guys really learned from the leagues you've ran this year, and where are you going with the leagues going forward?
So we run new leagues every 4 months. These are relatively long-term leagues, and it's amazing seeing the arc of the economy during that time, from right at the beginning when the players are rushing to get the top slots on the ladder, and every item they find is really good relative to the junk that they've picked up so far. And in the middle of the leagues, where people are really refining their character builds, and it's still difficult to get the best items, but they're gradually getting there. And then it's interesting to see the end of the leagues, where the players have a relatively mature economy, and there's quite a lot of trading going on as they anticipate the next set of leagues starting again. We've learnt that players really like to have league mods that define the type of league that it is. And now what I mean by this is, so we run standard and we run hardcore leagues, and we generally find that the best thing to do in standard is to introduce game mechanics that the players encounter from time to time that generally offer some trade-off of risk versus reward. For example, in the ambush league that we're adding in Sacrifice of Vaal, there are chests that are guarded by monsters that ambush you, so there's an implicit risk versus reward in whether you open that. And in the hardcore leagues, we like to just find ways to kill players. The hardcore players want to be killed, that's why they're playing hardcore, so we try to oblige.
And what kind of impact has the new Scion class had on the overall economy, the PvP sector, everything? How's it been received by the community?
I'm going with that. The Scion's been really great. I'd say that at release, because it was a new class, it was probably the most popular. It's really opened up the number of builds that have been possible. There's, as I said, a lot of players are enjoying that.
She's very popular in the race events at the moment because her starting skill, Spectral Throw, is possibly marginally better than the other starting skills, at least for the type of racing strategy the players are using. So we often see players muling that to another class that they actually want to compete with. So there's a little bit of balance work that might go on there to address that.
And so a big focus when the game first launched or was really getting to the level, because it's hard to say when it fully launched with how long the open beta was and everything, but what have you guys done to improve the starting environment for new players that are just now trying to get into the game?
So in Sacrifice of the Vaal, we really wanted to add content all through the game. We have these new corrupted side areas. Those are something that you can encounter from the very first beach. We've been, in previous leagues we've added things like shrines, that sort of stuff. Just content all through the game. We're sort of continuing to work on, adding new monsters. For example, there's a new monster that's being added to Act 1 in this in Sacrifice of the Vaal, and that kind of stuff. So as I said, we keep on adding.
Fantastic. Well, like I said, you can catch our article for a full write-up on this huge update, and it'll be hitting March 5th, so we look forward to that. We'll have some follow-up from James Blonde giving you guys a detailed look at it. Thanks for watching, guys.
I see it in your eyes, your blood. You do not feel my words. You are selfish, afraid. Do not let fear stand between you and your destiny. Give me your heart, and I will give you beauty beyond your darkest